All right, guys, we're talking to Chris, man. He's been living in Costa Rica for 3 years. He's got a 2-year-old kid, a wife. Let's hear his story. Let's see what he's doing out here. I wonder what Chris is doing. If you have a 2-year-old kid, you must be playing more than you're working. What's going on, Chris?
Yeah, that's kind of true, actually.
All right. I'm sorry. We're going to get to you in a minute. Guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Guys, with the relocation retreat, man, we got another one coming up in November. It's going to be big. This one's already fun. We're only on our second day, and we're having a blast. So if you think Costa Rica's on your radar, but you're not quite sure, this event might be for you. A 6-7 day event. Kind of we're not trying to get you to move here. Actually, we don't care, but we want you armed with great information so you can make a good decision. All that information is in a link in the description. We would love to see you there, guys. YouTube's hard, man. I'd appreciate a subscribe. Want to see videos put them up, hit the notification bell. Chris, thanks for talking to us, man. Yeah, okay, so Chris has been in here for living in Costa Rica for 3 years, but how'd you get here actually? So I always like to ask this question because I think what was going on in your life or your mind, before you came, you know what I mean? Like what was happening?
Okay, well, just a lot of work, to be honest with you. My wife was the main push on why we relocated and moved outside the country. She was ready for a change. I actually wanted to kind of continue working a little more and doing the real estate investing, but she presented this option to leave the country, do some traveling to me, and got on board with it.
It sounds like it might have been, you either leave with me, husband, or I'm going to go with, no, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah.
So a change of what? Like a change of
pace, I guess. Really, we're a young couple. We didn't have any kids. We didn't think we could have a kid at that time, and so we're ready to explore, kind of get out the rat race. I think kind of you hear the same story over and over again. We kind of fall into that.
Well, I don't want to get too personal, but we were kind of talking last night, and it sounds like your finances, let's say, were pretty good.
They were okay. We were getting there.
Yeah, because I always think it's impressive. Young people moving out here kind of, you always retirees, and then you got the digital nomads that kind of stay in a place for 2-3 months and take off. But people that are like younger that actually go, I'm going to live in Costa Rica, is a little bit more of the exception than the rule. That's why I think it's interesting that at that time, in an early stage, you're like, oh, let's change everything.
So really, my wife has a good job and she's really advancing in her career, and her career allowed us to take it down to a single income. And then with the real estate investing we were doing, we had a decent savings where we were able to make that move and kind of realize some of the money from our investments. Mm-hmm. We completely cashed out, sold everything in the United States, and started here.
Now, you guys been here before?
Once on vacation. We did a group trip with some friends, and it's funny because we all kind of fell in love. And I remember sitting at our boutique resort, kind of running the numbers, like, well, how much money do we have to bring in a month in order just to live here, live at this resort for the rest of our lives?
It is funny. You got to admit, the vacationing thing, you get romantic. It's like, this is so beautiful. Oh, yeah. We could do it. Yeah. That's when people buy houses.
Easy. Yeah.
So was that kidding? Or was that the start of, or was that just kind of like, hey, we had some 3 beers, we could live here?
It planted the seed. It was one of the first international travels we've done together. So, that was kind of romantic on its own. And it just planted the seed and kind of put a number in our head like, hey, if we can get this type of passive income a month, like this could be a reality. But we didn't really need that passive income because of remote jobs. COVID made a lot of jobs possible to do remote. And that's kind of the situation that we were in with my wife's work.
Now, had you guys even looked at other places?
As far as visiting countries, no, but we did a ton of research before selecting a country to move to. And Costa Rica checked the most boxes, and I think the most importantly, how close it was to the United States, and allowing us to travel back and forth like fairly affordably and have visitors. New Zealand was on the list too. Like, man, another great country, but
Yeah, that's
when would we
17 hours.
Yeah, no one would visit, and getting there would cost an arm and a leg. And I think trying to start a business there, we would have had more hurdles than we do here.
It's beautiful down there.
Yeah,
know, so.
Never been, but the research like it looks great.
Well, just a shout out. A lot of you guys that watch me know this. You know, my family and I went to a house in Fiji, so
really
on a reality show. So yeah, I know we'll talk about that some other time. But I mean that side of the world is very nice.
Holy
Australia
smokes.
and New Zealand. So
Huh.
now I got all sidetracked. I want to talk about me now, Chris.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, what were some of the places on the list?
New Zealand was on the list. Germany was on the list.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Mexico, for some reason, didn't make it on the list. I know that's on a lot of people's list. Neither did Panama. That's on a lot of people's lists. And we had Jazz's entire side of the family was kind of in on this whole thing. Like, hey, let's move outside the country together. So we were going to do it as a family, like as a community. So that also opened up.
That's kind of cool.
That also opened up a lot of other places to us and options.
Sounds like you guys just should have spun the globe and went like this.
Right.
Because usually, I mean, normally I hear Portugal, Belize, Mexico, Panama. Nicaragua's on there, but some people throw Nicaragua off the list because of the government. I mean, I love Nicaragua, but I couldn't do it because of the government. But Nicaragua's just as beautiful and cheaper than here. But
we wanted a place where we could like thrive, not just retire, but thrive, build businesses, and with a strong economy, similar government to what we're used to, similar laws. So
okay, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I have to go a little deeper on this, Chris. So I've never had anybody be that around the earth. Like, because usually it's what I said. Germany, New Zealand, Costa Rica. So what were the variables that were going on there?
They had to be accepting of an interracial family. Have to, again, have similar laws, stuff we're used to, a similar government, business friendly, place where foreigners can survive without too much red tape. And ultimately, what came down to Costa Rica was its proximity to the United States.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like that.
But we didn't want to leave anything out. We wanted to, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, and we're not planning on moving back. So after we picked Costa Rica, like, hey, this is the most likely place where we can survive and thrive and build a life outside the United States. Then we really cracked down on the research.
So what was your immediate family saying? I mean, because you first kind of said, well, maybe we'll do it together, but did people go, what the hell are you doing? Where'd this come from, Chris?
I think most people didn't really believe it was going to happen. And when my wife and her side of the family actually presented it to us, like they put on a PowerPoint, I didn't think it was going to happen either. And Costa Rica wasn't on the list. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, cool. We'll see where this goes. And man, they really started cracking down. I'm like, man, I better get on board with this, or I'm not going to have any choice or any say, because they're really turning the wheels on this, and I wanted to support them.
Well, I think it's interesting, that you said, well, when you move out here, you're not going back. But so were you, just let's fast forward to that a little bit. So the expectations that you had when you first lived here, now you've been here 3 years, so let's say the first 6 months, I'll say. Okay. Were you ever kind of going, what the fuck did we just do?
I can remember vividly, we were here for 3 months. My wife was pregnant at the time, but we did not know that. She was having symptoms of pregnancy, and we didn't know that. We didn't even think we could get pregnant. And we're in Uvita. We didn't have a car. We're living in a really small casita. We have a shipping container full of stuff coming, and we're living in a shipping container as well. So can't live in a shipping container and then ship a shipping container and furnish it with everything. The math doesn't work out. And so all this stuff is kind of coming in at once. I remember walking home in the pouring rain, carrying a box of groceries because, bags, plastic bags are not as common and are kind of frowned upon in Uvita. And a semi truck drove by me. I'm already soaked from the rain, but he drove by me and splashed me. I'm like, what am I doing here, man? Like, I should be at work right now making money, like on my next investment property, but instead I'm on the side of the road with a box full of wet groceries. And then I walk in the house and I dump the box out in the sink full of water. So there's a couple moments like that, but they were short-lived.
But you said you did your homework and research. You kind of knew what you're getting into?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you knew what you're getting into?
Not completely, no. We did our homework, we researched, but...
And it was probably nothing like the vacation, I'm assuming.
No, not at first. Well, at first it was. But then you start getting into an everyday routine and figuring out your routine. And, going to the beach every morning is not for everybody. Like, it's not doable for everybody. Like, Jazz is still working, and I'm still figuring out my place and dealing with finances and doing the coordination of the rest of our move. Like, yeah, you can see something on paper and know it's going to be difficult. We told ourselves, like, we don't know what our future holds, but this is going to be the most challenging thing we've ever done. We don't know what those challenges are going to be, but we know this is going to be challenging, and it's either yes or no. We either do it or we don't.
Well, so did you have any big surprise? Was there anything that happened that were kind of like, wow, I didn't know Costa Rica was like this? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, damn. Well, it can be both good or bad. I mean, we could talk about what you like and what you don't like. I mean,
there's a ton we like. I
hope so, because you're down here now, Chris.
But I think like what you don't like kind of doesn't get talked about as much, and there's just little nuances that at first it's hard to get used to. Things are done a little bit differently here, a little bit slower, but that's okay. It's just if you're from a fast-paced environment, it's kind of hard to get used to.
Most people are.
Yeah, especially coming from North America.
So you had a problem with a little bit of issue, kind of getting into that simple, going off a hamster wheel that goes 100 miles an hour down to like maybe 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, you still got that momentum build up. You got to do something with that energy. So it's just hospitals. When we found out my wife was pregnant, we knew there was like clinics close by, but we didn't realize the closest hospital was a couple hours away, and the road to get there was around curvy mountainside cliff, and that's also tough when you're pregnant. So just
wait, you just can't be starting to go like, we got pregnant down here and we're going to just go over it, the glaze over it. So that was a surprise, because it sounded like you didn't really know you guys could get pregnant.
That's right. Yeah.
And then she did, and surprise.
Yeah.
Didn't that change the whole trajectory? What the hell's going on?
It changed everything, because our first couple of years, their plan was to travel the Americas, Central America, some South America, and use Costa Rica as our home base. When we found out my wife was pregnant, unexpectedly, our priorities changed. It's like, hey, how do we get this baby out and raise him the best we can? So that actually led us to the Central Valley.
Was it ever such a surprise that you said, maybe we need to go back to the States? I mean, just because of it was a surprise. So you're thinking, I don't know, schools or whatever you were thinking. Did it ever kind of go, okay, maybe we jumped the gun. Well, let's go back to the States for a few years and get back in the.
I'm sure the thought was there for the both of us at one point. I don't know that either of us.
The coffee's right here, so I'm going to get some. Keep talking.
The thought was there, I'm sure, for the both of us. I know it was for me, but neither of us said it out loud. And it didn't take long, though. We had a great doctor in Perez de Leon, and he recommended a great doctor in the Central Valley. And we moved to the Central Valley because we didn't want to drive to Perez de Leon for all of our doctor visits. So once we found this amazing team of doctors who actually cared about Jazz and the baby and me, like, we were comfortable here. We actually felt our birth went way better here than it would have in the United States.
Well, okay, first of all, do you have your residency?
We do. We got our resident.
Did you have it prior to the baby?
We started with Rentista before we even moved to this country. That's a slower process. When we had the baby, we switched to, I don't know what it's called, but if you have a natural born.
You switched it to the baby option.
Yeah, 1 month after Luca was born, we got
so
our permanent
now,
residency.
did you use, I want to do a little, because people are interested about the process of having the baby here.
Okay.
So did you use, the CAHA is a socialized medicine here, guys. And since he's a resident, he pays into this socialized medicine every month. Now, he might not have used it, though. He might have gone private doctor. So I'll ask you that first.
We did private doctor. We went to Hospital SEMA, and the same doctors work in, many of the same doctors work in the private sector and the public sector. But in the private sector, you get that, how do you say, intimate care or that one-on-one care. You get your own room. You get personalized care. And that's definitely what we needed with how complicated our pregnancy was going to be. Our private doctor actually brought in a specialty surgeon on his own dime when he realized, like, hey, this is something I can't handle by myself. Didn't charge us a cent. He built the team on his own dime. Total cash out of pocket for the birth was just under $6,000.
I was just getting ready to ask that. Now, I've been out of the States so long.
30 probably.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had doulas too. Like, we had 2 doulas help us, and they were very affordable, and they were first-time parents. They helped us through that whole process, got us in the right mental state. And
so you felt good about the process of having the baby here.
Yeah.
It must have made you feel a lot more comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine if it wasn't a good experience, you probably would have went, maybe we should go back?
I don't think we could have had a better experience in the United States. My sister was pregnant during the same time. Not only did her pregnancy cost her, like, I think if I'm doing the math right, like 5 times as much. I might be mathing that wrong. Like over 30,000. Like, it didn't go as smooth as my wife's complicated pregnancy.
Now, did you look into the CAHA on this?
We did. So Luca was born with he had jaundice, which is
the liver.
Yeah, when your skin is a little yellow. So our doctors recommended taking him to the Children's Hospital in San Jose, our pediatrician. They said that is the absolute best healthcare for children. Private hospitals don't have the technology they do. So we use both. We use CAHA for all his required vaccines and doctor's appointments, but we also use private healthcare for his doctor's appointments as well.
So a nice little combo thing.
Yeah, it helps you save some money.
Now, how's he doing now?
He's great, man. He has
and no issues? Or
no.
I didn't mean to say it like that. I'm just saying, so that got, whatever it was is fine.
Yeah. And he's thriving here. He has a full-time nanny that pretty much only speaks Spanish.
So that's great.
He gets 8 hours of Spanish a day, and his first words are both in Spanish and English. Some words he prefers in Spanish, and some words he prefers in English. But it's amazing to see. I think it's just such a great place for him to grow up.
I wish I was raised like that.
Back
in the day, it was like, the world needs to learn English. You don't need to learn anything, really. And kind of that attitude. I mean, you had French and Spanish in high school. French in high school, but I'm just saying it was like, it's no big deal. They're supposed to learn English. What a crock of crap that was. But and kids are so malleable with the languages. Right? You could probably throw Portuguese and Italian in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, how's your Spanish? He's going to be better than you.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be better than you like next week.
Yeah, probably. A couple months for sure.
Now, I didn't mention this because I didn't want you guys to think we were going to talk about the relocation retreat, this whole video. I'm not going to now either, but Chris is a presenter here at the relocation retreat. We picked him. Sarah picked him and said, you're going to love Chris. He's great. But personality is great, but what he does. So why don't you explain what you do and what you are presenting?
My expertise is in residential construction. I got 18 years of experience, even before college, in residential construction, custom home building, and real estate investing. Anyway, after we became permanent residents here, started working, built a small consulting firm. It's not even a firm; it's just me. But wait,
But it does sound good.
firm sounds nice, right?
I have a firm.
It's firm. It's firm as in the sense of I'm not going anywhere.
I think you should have just said you have a firm and just kept it at that. But no, you had to.
I couldn't even run a firm because I am very particular. And but I help people who are buying houses. I do North American style pre-purchase home inspections. My inspections typically last anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. 6 to 8 hours compared to a typical 1 to 2 hour inspection. Just because I'm a nerd, I like to know everything about that piece of property. And I also help people who are building houses here with owner's representation. So
you do both. You do buyer and seller, basically.
But no, not.
I mean, if somebody buys a house, they want to make sure it's okay.
Yeah.
And if somebody sells a house, they don't care.
No one cares if they're selling. They're just trying to get that money.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. But
I was trying to give humanity a good light.
Yeah, it's kind of on the buyer all the time, unfortunately.
And you know what? I mean, just if you guys don't know anything about Costa Rica, I'm not going to sit here and promote Chris, but you know, it is kind of for people like me that kind of go, "Hey, that wall looks pretty good to me."
Yeah, what's under it?
Yeah, you know, piping and stuff. A lot of times they're using a lot of substandard materials to build houses. Yeah, they got the pipes, but they don't got the ones that are going to last any length of time. But anyway, I can see the need for that big time, especially if it's you're putting in some money.
Sure. And you mentioned what's under that wall. Like, I have some really cool nerdy tools that tell me what's under the wall. I got high dollar moisture meters and thermal imaging cameras and ultrasonic cameras that kind of help me detect leaks or failures in that wall.
Look at him lighten up, guys. He is kind of nerdy. Look at this.
I like it. I really like it.
It's great.
It gives me something to do that I'm good at.
So actually, that is interesting. And I think that I know it's needed down here. I've lived here a long time. And I've watched people make serious mistakes thinking they knew what they were doing buying the house. But just to give them a little flavor. So what are, let's maybe 5 things that like you kind of go, that you kind of see a lot. Like bad, maybe it is bad piping or it's this or that.
Electrical is horrendous. The lack of grounding or properly grounding and bonding, the lack of GFCI protection in wet areas.
Okay, wait. What?
Ground fault circuit interrupter.
Are you throwing acronyms on in this?
But the lack of electrical safety devices where they should be. Plumbing is also horrendous. The venting.
Okay, real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt, but why is the plumbing bad?
Because the lack of DWV, there's another acronym, drain waste vents. The venting that allows, think of when you have a straw in a soda and you block the top of the straw with your finger and you pull it out. Well, the soda's still in that straw. That's how they design plumbing systems. A lot, not all of them. Some of them here in Costa Rica, not to have that vent. You need to be able to vent that so that water flows freely. One of the reasons why you can't flush toilet paper here is because it's not proper vented or proper
like the sucking power
or size of the pipe. Yeah, it kind of
because I used to think
like
it was the pipes. I used to think people kind of said, well, because the pipes are little, but then somebody else said, no, it's actually
it's both. It's the pipe size and it's the vent and it's the septic systems, whether or not they are designed to hold that extra volume of toilet paper and have that bacteria growth to eat that toilet paper. But you can design that here. And some of these houses that say don't flush toilet paper, you actually can. That's what I do on my inspections. I'll also tell you, if you're concerned with flushing toilet paper, I'll tell you if you can do it in your house or not. And then going with plumbing, lack of P-traps. So under the sink, a P-trap creates a vapor barrier by holding liquid in this like U-shaped trap under the sink. It keeps fumes from escaping your sewer and breathe them in. So that's also not common here.
Okay,
I could talk all day. I'm sorry.
Well, let's do a couple more. No, don't be sorry. A couple more. I'm learning some stuff.
You would think with all the rain here, they would do a good job at waterproofing and flashing roofs.
Flashing a roof means
sealing the sidewalls. Any areas that could possibly have water penetration. It's,
It is amazing. I have seen this so much. It is weird because it does rain a lot. You go, how do you guys not have this thing down? Roof leaks, huge here. I don't know how to explain it, but the leveling of the house
the grading,
itself,
yeah.
the grading is like
sometimes the house is below grade. I'm like, you're making a bowl. It's a bowl for water to. I think it's a cultural thing. Like priorities are different. Pura Vida is the saying here, right? Like they care more about the life than living in a house.
Yeah, they're probably not thinking about that P-trap too much.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, they got the windows open all the time.
Now is it getting better? Is building getting better? Or do they just keep doing the same thing?
It all depends. It all depends what type of house you're building, who's supervising it, your architect. Everything starts with an architect, by the way. But there are some great rules. There's some great building codes in place. It's just they don't have the infrastructure is not enforced. Sure, yeah, when you're building, you need an inspection every other week and an inspector or a licensed engineer or architect to sign off on that. But when they are under the same roof as that builder,
right?
It's
well, because I was asking because I don't know, just I guess in here in this town, and I did just get from the coast of Manuel Antonio, Jaco, Dominical, and Ubita, and you're seeing a lot more, or at least I think. Tell me. I'm seeing a little bit more modern buildings. The rustic is kind of leaving the playing field, and they're kind of turning it almost like Miami style.
Tropical modern is the trend here. It's kind of like Costa Rica's architecture. I see a lot of tropical modern, a lot of the shed roofs, a lot of windows. It is very beautiful, and some architects are doing a great job at putting different elements on the exterior, like mixing rock and stone and with different stuccos and colors and stuff. And they are starting to implement some of that code, but even if it's in the design, if someone's not watching them implement that, it doesn't mean it's done correctly.
This is very true, yes.
Yeah. If you're building, I always recommend phase inspections, having a third-party inspector come in different times of the build to make sure, like, hey, they put that plumbing in right, and make sure it's done right before they pour the foundation.
Are you a third-party inspector?
I do phase inspections in construction.
I don't know. I don't think, again, I don't know the field like you do, but I've been here long enough to kind of know the field
think you do.
Like that. And it's like, you're not kidding, and it can't be underestimated. It's kind of like Costa Rica's got a lot of laws. And if you looked at the laws, you would go, wow, that's good. They got this. Yeah, but they don't enforce them. And then that's kind of what you're saying. They have the thing, but that doesn't...
Who holds them accountable?
Yes, exactly. There's no enforcement of the thing.
Right. And, laws, they actually adapted, I can't remember what year National Electric Code it is from the United States. I think it's 2015 NEC. Someone probably knows. But they have the same electrical code as us. It's maybe a decade older than ours, but essentially it's still the same. But yet, everywhere you go, you look at electrical, nothing's close. It's because no one's holding the builder accountable. Skilled trades don't really exist. They kind of do a little bit, but it's not like the apprenticeship that we have in the North American countries.
So like the plumbers doing the electric?
Yeah, you can have that. Sometimes some better builders have a specialized plumber, a specialized electrician. But oftentimes the same guy doing electric is the same guy laying your block or painting the walls. Kind of a jack of all trades, master of none.
So is there any professional outfits now that kind of like, let's say you times that have there's a whole professional U.S. thinking type of thing going on? There
is a company, I think they're located in the southern zone, that kind of do what I do, but on a giant scale. I think they do like 30 projects at a time, and they got in-house engineers and project managers and guys that run statistics. 30 projects at a time. They're mainly for investors. I'm a little more boutique than them, maybe a little more bougie.
It's funny, right when you said boutique, I was going to say, that sounds like bougie to me.
I only take on 2 customers at a time. So like if I worked with you. You call me, I answer the phone. No one else answers the phone. It's just me. And you call me whenever you have an issue. So I don't know how you do that when you have 30 projects at a time, even if a big staff. Anyway, there are people that do what I do. There's amazing Costa Rican builders out here. There's
that's
amazing...
that's what I meant. So are there builders that care as much as you do about, like, let's do that electrical?
Yeah.
Because I watched a couple of videos that Matt, our friend Matt, I don't know if you know Tim Rindo, he spoke yesterday.
Okay.
He's a real estate guy.
Yeah.
And he has a YouTube channel, we'll say too, or whatever. And he talks to people, and he's got some builders that sound like they build like you think.
Man.
You know what I mean?
There's some real good builders out here. So with my owner's rep, one of the things we do is we vet builders. So I have a project in Dominical. We just got through the process of vetting 5 different builders. 2 of those builders out of the 5, and these are all like Google who builds in Dominical. These are the top 5 builders. 2 out of those 5, in my opinion, were acceptable. And not only acceptable, 2 were pretty extraordinary. Not that they're not going to benefit from having me, because an extra pair of eyes is always important. But these guys want to build a great product. They're passionate about what they do and their reputation. And you just got to find them. So those other 3 builders, again, these are the richest people move into Uvita and Dominical are hiring these guys. But I'm walking their job sites, and at a rough job site that's not finished and then finished work. And I'm just seeing so many things like, these people are getting robbed and they don't even know.
Right. That's the problem. You know what? I want to go back to your other life, because no. I was asking the questions. It's great. But we're going to do another video solely on that in a second after this one. But let's get back a little bit. So what are your favorite things about living in Costa Rica?
The views. Jazz and I live in the Central Valley, and we live up on the mountains overlooking the Central Valley. And in the back of our house, we got this beautiful view of Pico Blanco. Just amazing. Like, we can never afford a view like that in the United States. Never. And then in front of our house, we have this beautiful city view. You can see National Stadium. The weather there, the weather in Costa Rica, you can find the weather that's right for you. There's different climates. You got your choice.
Central Valley's pretty solid.
Yeah. It gets to like...
That's where you're at.
59 degrees at my house sometimes at night.
I wouldn't complain about that. I would love that if I could get that. Oh, wait. That's the first time in 18 years somebody said the view. Usually they usually say, like, they go, the people.
People are great, too. Most of them. But it's just like anywhere you go, you're going to get mean people and you're going to get nice people. So...
Okay, the view's great. I like that answer. Maybe a couple more things you like about living here.
People. People are great.
I feel like you're getting more comfort in this interview, Chris.
The affordability of... I'm going back to real estate, I'm sorry, but the affordability of, like, nice housing. The house I live in, I wouldn't have in the United States. Because
it'd be too much?
It'd be too much. It's too nice. It's too nice for me.
I know, but that's weird because everyone goes, that's so expensive in Costa Rica.
It depends. You gotta know how to play the game, and it is, in some places it's a buyer's market, in some places it's a seller's market. So it took us 9 months to find our house and to negotiate.
I bet everything. You were rough.
I was rough. I was rough. But once we found this house, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. We got to make this deal happen. And it took, again, like another 9 months to make the deal happen.
Now, is your wife working?
My wife, yeah, she is the main breadwinner of my job is pretty much a hobby. I make a little bit of income, but I do a lot of work from home.
Do you have a guest house, Chris? Because I'd be more than happy.
We got guest rooms.
I wouldn't mind cleaning your pool or something.
Yeah, come on down. If you're ever in the Central Valley, you got a place.
I would like to check it out.
Yeah, come on down.
Sounds like a great place.
Yeah, you can stay with us.
So she's on the internet.
My wife is a director of marketing for an FDA compliance firm, and then she also is an OG blogger. She's been blogging before blogging had a title. She has couple different blogs,
and then after it got, because I was a blogger back when it was cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like when it started.
Probably around the same time.
Yeah, and then I kind of which did good, but you just start focusing on the videos because it gets. I love to write, but it gets, it's a lot to do. Now, she brought that job from the States, right?
She
I mean,
did.
this was just, she could just do it anywhere,
She's
right?
been blogging for
No,
like
the other one.
Oh, she's had multiple jobs since she moved to Costa Rica. So, you gotta, she's had.
Wait a minute, the blogging job brings in money?
Yeah. She has staff, and it doesn't bring in a lot of income for her, but it brings in money to cover expenses, cover her staff.
Well, can we give her a shout out on the blog or not?
Yeah, Miss Millennium Magazine has probably been around for about 2 decades, and then Blogging Money Life, she teaches bloggers how to blog and earn income. And Blogging Money Life has a YouTube channel as well.
Blogging Money Life.
Yeah. That started when we moved to Costa Rica. Originally, we were going to live off the blog. But then, we had a kid, and then we decided, hey, our lifestyle is not going to be a nomad lifestyle. We want to settle down.
You're a little bougie.
We had a kid, so.
All right, man, this has been good. This has been fun. Chris, thanks a lot, but we're gonna do another video talking straight out business stuff. Guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Things are gonna pop up if you think about living or traveling anywhere. Always do your homework and research. And if it's about Costa Rica, I'm gonna put my videos up against anybody's.
Yeah.
Say bye, Chris.
Adios.